Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. And gentlemen, thank you very much for being here today. And unfortunately, this morning's hearing is required due to the haphazard withdrawal of U.S. forces, American citizens, and many of our Afghan partners. However, we do want to thank the men and women in uniform that assisted the evacuation of those that were able to make it out, and of course, to those that have given their service and sacrifice over the past 2 decades of the global war on terror. The loss of our service members and abandonment of Americans and Afghan allies last month was an unforced, disgraceful humiliation that didn't have to happen. The president put a cheap political victory, a withdrawal timeline timed to the 20th anniversary of 9/11 on his calendar and executed his vision with little regard for American lives or the real threats that we face. I do appreciate your open, your honest, and expert participation in communicating to this committee what went wrong. I think our American citizens are at a real crossroads right now where they are questioning the leadership from this president and this administration. President Biden's blunders can't be erased, but the United States must now account for them through a revamped counterterrorism strategy that recognizes the newfound momentum of terrorists and new threats emanating from the Middle East, in addition to rising challenges that we see coming from China and Russia. Pretty high stakes. Secretary Austin, I'd like to start with you. Did President Biden or any of his national security advisors express any military or diplomatic conditions for the American withdrawal from Afghanistan beyond the looming date of 9/11? What were those military conditions or diplomatic conditions that were outlined to you?
Again, once the president went through a very deliberate decision-making process and made his decision that to exit Afghanistan, there were no additional conditions placed on it.
Can you tell me that he did take into consideration military or diplomatic conditions, and what were those conditions that he was weighing as he was making those decisions?
Sure. One of the things that all of us wanted to see happen was for this conflict to end with a diplomatic solution. And so one of the things that we certainly wanted to see was progress being made in the Doha negotiations. And we did not see, or he did not see, any progress being made, and there was really not much of a bright future for that process.
So General Milley had stated earlier that his recommendation is always, as any military commander should do, should be conditions-based. And we have to be able to evaluate whether those conditions are achievable and if we can successfully complete those. It sounds like there were very little consideration given to diplomatic or military conditions. The diplomatic, again, going to conditions-based, the diplomatic end to it, I think, General Milley, you also said that the military mission would end on the 31st and transition to a diplomatic mission. But I don't understand how we fulfill a diplomatic mission after August 31st when there are absolutely no diplomats on the ground in Afghanistan. They're gone. They've been evacuated. Who do we hand that mission off to when there is nobody there to complete it? So can you then say that the president directed you, Secretary Austin, to execute an unconditional withdrawal from Afghanistan? Unconditional. August 31st, done.
Once he made the decision to withdraw, I mean, that was the decision to leave. And we certainly wanted to make sure that we shaped conditions so that our embassy could maintain a presence there and continue to engage the government of Afghanistan. So
Secretary
protection of the
Austin.
embassy was pretty important.
Yes, Secretary Austin, you are extremely diplomatic in your answers. I can appreciate that. But this was not a conditions-based withdrawal. And I think all three of you have stated that you made your best opinion known to the President of the United States. He had no conditions other than to get our people out of Afghanistan, which he failed at because we still have Americans as well as Afghan partners in Afghanistan. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I yield back.
Thank you, Senator Ernst. Senator King, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.